All right, if you're an HCP marketer and your goal is to try to influence, educate urologists, well, you're watching the right video. And if you're trying to strategize and look for different ways and unique opportunities to influence those urologists for next year, and you go to conferences like AUA or ASTRO, you're definitely in for a treat here as I unpack a lot of different strategies and digital video opportunities that you can leverage to help amplify the results for next year. Specifically, my team and I work with a variety of different clients in healthcare, life science, and med tech. And specifically, one of the niche HCPs we're trying to influence is around urologists. And I've gone to many of those trade shows that I mentioned, ASTRO and AUA, and a lot of challenges have been coming up over the last 12 to 18 months, specifically around how you continue to influence those urologists. And what's typically happening is one of the top things up here on the screen is the sales teams, right? Sales teams are struggling and having a challenge that started long before the pandemic, right? To be able to get into those face-to-face meetings. They're still happening, but it's kind of limited, right? Especially if you have a new solution, you've got new information you're trying to get out there. The challenge is real when it comes to sellers trying to get face-to-face with urologists. And conferences, right, as I mentioned for AUA and ASTRO, well, those are definitely something you'll continue to do, and we maximize opportunities. I'm going to share some different ways that we can help drive better results for you, but rates continue to go up, right? So how do you squeeze out much more ROI for those two major events? And then if you have other events too as well, you can leverage these tactics. And I'm assuming you continue to leverage social media for your outreach. I've been hearing that it's mixed bag, right? Some people are getting decent results, some people aren't. They're continuing to do same things and same tactics and expecting different outcomes, but that's obviously not happening. And then if you're cranking out a lot of educational webinars, kudos to you, keep it up. What I've been hearing is it's limited from an engagement standpoint, limited signups. So definitely want to showcase some different ways and how you can more effectively reach those urologists to help grow your solution for next year. And really the first one that I want to talk about and unpack is specifically around NPI numbers and leveraging billing codes also to be able to reach those urologists digitally online. I'm going to get into it in the next slide, but essentially what we're able to do with those numbers, those NPI numbers, is showcase specifically which urologists have shown the most interest, went to your website without filling out a form. I'm going to get into that here in a moment too. We also want to showcase strategies and ways that you can amplify results at ASTRO and AUA for next year. And then specifically around those conferences, how do you not only increase booth traffic, but then also from a post-conference follow-up, what are some additional tactics? And I'm going to share some of that in a moment here too. And then finally, let's get into the superpower of video, right? So you may be using video right now. And if you are, great. I'm going to also showcase hopefully some unique ways that you can capture video content for next year. But let's get into it. These are going to be the three overall tactics to influence and educate, bring that awareness, right, about your solution to urologists. And the first one, as I was mentioning, is the power of data. I'm going to walk you through specifically how we can use and how we can actually get these numbers specifically. And you may be familiar with NPI numbers, billing codes, ICD-10 codes, CPT codes. It's all data that's available, downloadable, but we typically are working with a variety of different data partners to bridge the gap. We really mine that data, so it's very precise to be able to reach urologists like Dr. Meehan on the screen here. He's a Arizona urologist in Mesa, Arizona. I've had the pleasure to work with him on a variety of different medical device companies, and he's one of the KOLs, one of the digital KOLs in the space. But specifically, here's how it works. I'm going to break down how this NPI targeting works. Let's say it's Dr. Meehan. He's going on and he's trying to figure out, right, normal media consumption, sports, weather, news, finance, right? So he's hopping across a lot of these different websites: Fortune, Yahoo, Forbes, Spotify, USA Today, Food Network. As he's going online doing his normal media consumption, well, we can interrupt that with a programmatic display ad. So if you look at the center on the screen here, content's in the middle, your ad. There's a variety of different ad spaces across different publishers, but essentially what we're doing is, again, showcasing your solution, hacking the attention of this urologist and be able to educate them, influence them, and try to drive them back to your website. And the beauty of this is it's digital marketing, right? So we can always optimize as we go. If you need to switch audiences, if we need to look at the website, right, the landing page that we're driving traffic to, we can optimize the conversion on that. Ad formats, right? The great thing about this too is it's cross-device. So if you look in the middle here, we've got tablet, desktop, mobile phone, obviously. And so as we're using these, we can definitely optimize as we go, because again, that's the beauty about digital. And sorry for the small print here, but essentially these are the number of urologists that we could reach, whether it's a subspecialty or just regular urology. It looks like we've got a little bit over 13,000. I'm happy to provide this list to you if there's some interest there. But again, this is the precise one-to-one targeting. How it works specifically is, again, we're leveraging that MPI number. It's a downloadable database. Anybody can do it. But essentially what we're doing is we're working with our data partners, our programmatic partners, to be able to actually serve your ad across these different websites, right? Lifestyle sites. Here's an example of the report. So this is what I was mentioning earlier. So this is your lead list, right? This is your lead gen report. So what happens is every time someone clicks on the ad, they go back to your website, we get this report to showcase every single month of, hey, which physician, which MPI number. So we have first name, last name, we have city, state, zip code. If there's a specialty other than urology, right, we've got that listed. And then if there's a hospital affiliation. So what happens is the marketing team is creating these, generating these obviously marketing qualified leads and trying to turn them into sales qualified leads. So this report's something that's shared every single week or monthly with the sales team, right? Marketing generates this with obviously collaboration with us. They send it to the sales team. Sales team can slice and dice this data. They could upload it to Salesforce or HubSpot. But again, it's got city, state, location, zip code. So if you have an outside sales team, inside sales team, you can go in there and slice and dice the data to say, hey, on the West Coast, we assign these leads, and the East Coast, however you manage your lead list, this is definitely a great way to pump up the jam and be able to reach these urologists. And again, they don't need to fill out a form. They actually clicked on your ad. They went back to your website. It's a great follow-up tactic with your sales team. The second one, as I was mentioning, is, hey, let's maximize what we're doing at these conferences, right? We know ASTRO is massive. We know AUA is massive for our clients. So as you start mapping out your initiatives, your strategies, you've got new data that you're releasing, you've got a product that you're launching right at any of these conferences. This tactic is called geofencing. You may have heard of it. It's digital geofencing, also known as event fencing. What we do is, for example, in San Antonio for AUA next year, my guess is it's going to be at the Henry B. Gonzalez Convention Center. I've been there many times. And so what we do is we put a virtual fence, longitude, latitude, right over the rooftop of the convention center there. So anybody that walks through with a mobile phone, we all have mobile phones, right? And it's based on a location-based app. So what happens is you open up your Uber app, your Lyft app, you're trying to check the weather, what's going on in San Antonio. And then we've got you, we've got your location. So it's a different strategy than the one-to-one targeting, where this is specifically around the mobile phone, the mobile ID, and location-based services, right? Where you're at. Obviously, mobile phone is accurate within 10 feet. Specifically, that's the great thing about it. And it's also, you can reinforce what you're doing. So if you have a product theater, if you have data that you're releasing, if you've got an abstract, right? It's a great way to reinforce what you're doing at the actual conference, stand out digitally. It's much more cost effective than sponsoring the Wi-Fi or those lanyards, right? This is digital, so it's precise. Specifically, that what I love about it, it's accurate within 10 feet. The other great thing is you want to stand out post-conference, right? There's so much going on with meetings and presentations, and the urologists are like mind blown with all this information. They retain 20, 30% of it, right? So the great thing to do is stand out digitally afterwards. So when we do the geofencing, anybody that clicks on the ad, we're able to remarket to them, retarget to them 30 days afterwards. And obviously that would be a different message. So let's say, for example, you had a product theater at Astro, you capture that. Not everybody's going to go to your product theater, right? We wish we could send like everybody, right? But everybody doesn't show up. So as a marketer, the great thing you can do is post-conference follow-up, right? So if you have that ad running 30 days afterwards to say, hey, if you missed us for a product theater, right, click here to learn more. That's a very educational information that you can provide. It's not just about, hey, here's our solution, right? Here's it's going to work for you. Really, it's a great way to reinforce what you did after the conference, post-conference follow-up with some sort of on-demand video. The geofencing works similar when it comes to the lifestyle sites, as I was mentioning. So with that example with Dr. Meehan and him surfing the web, right, going online to his different, normal sites that he would go to, AOL, Yahoo, ESPN, those types of websites. So those lifestyle sites would be very similar in how we would serve your ads and the geofencing. Another great tactic is something a lot of clients haven't really looked into. It's digital out of home, DOOH. So it's a great tactic if you have you're trying to create massive awareness, right? It's definitely much more cost effective, again, than like the sponsoring the Wi-Fi or like the lanyards. But essentially, these are billboards, LED screens right outside the convention center. Typically, they're in larger cities. Like the example here on the screen is from Chicago. So we do a lot of events in McCormick Place. So as people are coming out, going to hotels and jumping in Ubers, these LED screens are in high traffic public places. So walkable areas. Sometimes they're in even restaurants, right? As you're walking down the street, I'm sure you've seen these before. So it's definitely a great, unique tactic that we're starting to leverage more for our clients. And then the power of video, as I was mentioning earlier. So if you want to capture as much strategic footage, we do this all the time. You can see us up here on the screen here. We do a lot of things in booth, but we also do a lot of things in a hospitality suite that's a little bit more intimate, a little bit more controlled environment. Regardless, we can do either one on the trade show floor or in a hospitality suite. But what an opportunity, right? You've got all your KOLs, your subject matter experts, your leadership team. So depending on what you're really pushing out there from a content perspective, one of the top things we typically are capturing for video is around KOLs or customer testimonials. I mentioned product theaters earlier. You don't know what attendance is going to be like, so it's a great way to protect that. And then if you have any other podium presentations, right, great way to capture that. And then if your leadership's there, your subject matter experts are there, right, it's a great way to carve out time with them to capture as much strategic content as possible. You've got all those decision makers, right, in one place. And then finally is the post-conference follow-up, right? You've had those great conversations with people in the booth. You've got the badge scans, right? You're doing the digital geofencing, as I was mentioning. And then a lot of times people strategically are doing that one-to-one targeting 60 days, 90 days, several months before these major conferences. So if you're planning, for example, if we look at AUA that's happening, like you want to definitely start promoting this several months in advance. So AUA is in May. I would recommend, if you're trying to launch some sort of NPI, like digital targeting, those types of campaigns, definitely want to start 3 months ahead of time. But essentially all this funnels into these digital tactics and video strategies, funnel into that conference follow-up, and specifically around, you know, when you do the geofencing, right? That's the geofencing when I talked about for the conferences. That's going to be 30 days after the conference. So it's definitely a great post-conference follow-up. And then for the one-to-one targeting, that also drives people right back to your website after they've clicked on the ad. And then finally, obviously, with the sequences that you're sending out or the drip emails, you know, by incorporating video into that post-conference follow-up, well, it's a great way to, again, re-engage. Everybody's not going to make it to these conferences. How do you stand out, right? Capture that video and then create those on-demand versions when people want to watch it at their convenience, right? So hopefully as you plan out those major conferences for AUA and ASTRO for next year, I hope this information has been valuable. If you have any questions, just let me know. Bye for now.